Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session, we are going to learn about margin. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code to understand this topic. So we are into the Visual Studio Code and the kind of setup we are having for this example is almost same whatever we have learned earlier in the box model. So we are going to leverage the same example, but this time we will understand that what actually the margin is and how we can use the margin. So what actually the margin is? So basically margin is outer space of the element. So here the question is why we actually use the margin. So basically margin can be used to create spaces around the element, and as we have already seen that box model is having the rectangular shape of the elements. When we design the web pages, all the elements is represented as rectangular shape. So because of that reason we are having four facets of margins, and the four facets are top, right, bottom, left. So whenever we are writing CSS and wherever we are specifying margin, we need to specify four values, and we will look into the variations of those values. If we will not provide any of the value, what will happen and how browser will treat those values if any value is missing. But prior to that, we will execute this HTML and we will look into, without applying the style.css, how this web pages look like. And when we will write the CSS, we will again execute it and we will identify the difference. So let's run it. Select this file. As usual, we will click on F1 and it will give us this option. We will select this one and we will click on open in browser. So we are into the HTML page, and here you will find that we are having this simple output where we don't have any CSS applied, and you will see the spacing between the header element and the paragraph element. Now we will understand that how margin can be used to specify the spacing. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code to play with margins. So we are into the Visual Studio Code. To apply the margin, what we are going to do, we are going to create a class called margin, and now here we will specify that margin, and here we will tell that margin, and within that we need to specify four values, one for top. So let's write it. For top value, if we are writing it 100 pixel, and remaining one we are keeping it 0 pixel and 0 pixel. So let's look into the difference, what the difference we are getting. So let's jump into the browser. So now you will see that earlier it was having less space, but now it has some space because we have provided the top position of 100 pixel. That means the paragraph should be displayed at 100 pixel. So that's the reason it came down, and that's the reason there is a space. Now look into right property. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So this time we are removing this value and specifying 0 pixel, and here we are telling that 100 pixel. Save it. So let's look into the output. So here you will find that there is no much difference, because from the right side it is telling that you have to just leave the space 100 pixel, so it is not giving much difference. But what we will do, we will draw some border around it and we will look into some differences if we are telling that 100 pixel, or we will increase the number of pixels so that we will get the understanding of margin from the right side of the pixel. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So what we will do, we will introduce the border over here and we will tell that border, and border is going to be 1 pixel and it should be solid, and here we will tell that the color should be black. Now let's look into this and then we will do some changes. So let's jump into the browser. So here you will find that here the spaces is having 100 pixel gap. This space is 100 pixel gap. Now what I will do, I will increase the value of the pixel and then we will see that where this border is displaying. So here we will tell that 500 pixel instead of 100 pixels. Save it. Let's jump into the browser. So now you will see that from the right side it has given us this much of a space because we have told that the right side space should be 500 pixels. So that's the way we can handle the margin from the right side. Now let's move further. Now make it 0 pixel. Now let's look into here, that is for bottom. So let's look into that, and this time we will tell that 100 pixel for bottom. Save it. Let's jump into the browser. So there is no much difference. So what we will do, we will introduce another element below that and we will try to understand that how margin bottom is working for paragraph element. So let's introduce another element. We can tell that we will create another div, and within the div we are going to have another paragraph element for the placeholder to represent bottom margin. So now let's go to the browser. So here you will find that the bottom margin we have told that for this div is 100 pixel. So that's the reason after 100 pixel this value is printing, which is another element. As we already mentioned that margin is a space outside of the element. So that's the reason it is printing after this. So this much of gap you are getting. So we will increase the size of the bottom margin and we will look into that where it is printing or where it is displaying. So just increase the size. Here we will tell that 500 pixels, save it. Let's go to the browser to see the output, and here you will find that it has displayed over here and the gap 500 pixel. So this is the bottom. Now let's proceed further. Now what we will do it for left. So let make it 0 pixel, and here you will mention that 100 pixel. So it will display from the left 100 pixel. So let's look into that. So here you will find that it is displaying this content, this div from the left 100 pixel. So let's proceed further. So here we will understand that to provide the margin we have four values we need to provide. The first value is the top, the second value is the right, and the third value is the bottom, and the fourth value is the left. Suppose if you are providing a single value over here, so that means you are telling that you want to keep top, right, bottom, left the same value, that is 100 pixel. So let's look into the output. So here you will find that it has equidistance from top, right, bottom and left. Now let's proceed further. Now suppose a scenario, if we are providing three values, then what will happen? For example, you are providing 50 pixel, 100 pixel and 200 pixel. So what it means? So basically you are telling that the first value is the top value, the second value is the right and left value, that is 100 pixel, and the bottom value is the 200 pixel. So let's save it and run it. Go to the browser. So see here from the right and the left it looks similar distance, but from the top it is 50 pixel and from bottom it is displaying 200 pixel. So that's the reason this content is looking little far, as the last value is representing the bottom value and that is 200 pixel. Now let's proceed further. Now suppose if we remove this value, then what it will represent? So this means that it is telling that the top and bottom should be 100 pixel and left and right should be 200 pixels. So let's look into the output. So the left and right is 200 pixel, top and bottom is 100 pixel. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate you in this session. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.